Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesday. It's October 3rd, 2023. We're very glad you're with us this afternoon for this brand new LinkedIn presentation today. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For those people on Zoom, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please just enter them in the chat window. As our speaker takes a break, we'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. Also, for those on Facebook, if you would like to ask any questions, just put your questions in the comment field. We are monitoring that feed and we'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. Also, the chat window is a great way to connect with other people. You're here to watch a LinkedIn presentation. So this is a great way for you to connect with other people on the call today. Put in your name, your contact information, what you're looking for, a couple target companies, connect with everybody else who's on the call today, because you never know who was out there who will be able to expand and help you reach to your connections you're trying to find. All right, let's see here. Let's go here. All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morse. Back in 2008, it's hard to believe it's been over almost 15 years. I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched careerusa.org to help those around the United States. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search that you may not know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I always have copies with me. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. It's hard to believe that's almost been 16 years now I've been doing that. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I'll tell you about our upcoming program that we have coming up this Friday at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the Practice Interview Team, also known as the PIC Crew. Remember, your resume, your LinkedIn profile will not get you a job. Jeff, why am I putting them on there? What they will get you is a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, that's what's going to get you your next job. So for more information, just go to dallaspicgroup.com. Well, we have 4 outstanding speakers who talk about LinkedIn. They rotate through on a monthly basis. Today, our speaker is Ruth Lipsky. She's a career coach. She works for Lee Heck Harrison, coaching job seekers on a daily basis. She's got a brand new presentation, never seen before. Today is the debut of this presentation called LinkedIn Tools for Job Seekers. So Ruth, thank you very much for being with us, and it's all yours.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to be working with the folks that are doing their best to find their next job and being able to provide them possibly with some of the tools that might be a little bit easier for them to find then. We're going to be talking about why it's important to have the same information that recruiters are looking for, so that when you have a LinkedIn profile that is set up so that it matches a recruiter search, you're going to have a much greater chance of being found by that recruiter. So just as a reminder, this is what a recruiter does when they are in the LinkedIn recruiter software. They're going to start with a basic search with a title and skills, in this case, a project manager, skills in business strategy and in analytics. Just for grins, they put in location. Not every company is looking for a location these days because remote jobs are fairly common. But what comes up? 42,798 possibilities of people who match this role. Way too many to be effective. But LinkedIn never does anything randomly. There's a reason that these 3 people came up at the top of the search. And it's because they have a more complete profile. It's because they are more active on LinkedIn. It's because they have something in common with the company that is doing this search. There are a lot of reasons, and we're going to go through all of them and find the tools for them. But recruiters use a series of spotlights that are going to be the filters that allow them to narrow down this nearly 43,000 to something more manageable. The spotlight filters are open to work, having company connections, showing that they are interested in your company, and active talent, which has a couple different meanings, and we'll go into that definition in just a little bit. But notice when a recruiter is using all of these spotlight features, it goes from a nearly 43,000 candidates down to 83, which is a much more reasonable number of profiles for a recruiter to look at. That's still a lot. 83 is a lot of profiles to click on and read through. So a lot of times the recruiter is going to be looking at the headline area for clues as to whether this is a person who is of interest to them. LinkedIn gives such little information when they're doing a job search. It's going to give the title, the headline, the last couple jobs. That's about it. So if you're going to find a way to connect to a recruiter, if you're going to tell the recruiter that you're the one who's good for their job, you need to do it in the headline, because that's the only clue a recruiter has these days as to whether you're going to be a hire candidate or not. So what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be talking about the tools that LinkedIn has. We'll be talking about headlines and the titles. We'll be talking about skills, and we're going to be talking about the details of these spotlight features and how the filters work to your advantage. Things to remember: 30% of the people who come onto your profile won't bother to scroll down. What they see on the screen is all they ever want to see. And 97% of the people who are on your profile aren't even going to tap to see more for the About section. It's still important to have a robust About section, because that's part of the recruiter search for keywords. They're going to be looking in that About section for times that you've used those skills. But be aware that you've got to make a fast impression by using the headline and the first couple lines of your About section. So the headline has to be something that is going to grab the attention of the recruiter or the hiring manager or whoever is doing this search. And if you're in a role that has some very specific skills needed for it, like a full stack application developer, in your headline, you may want to put down the technical skills that you have, because that's probably what the recruiter is looking for. Application developers can be in a lot of different areas, have a lot of different tools that are available. If they're looking for these 4 areas, your headline is going to be the first to pop out at that recruiter. As you get into other types of roles that don't necessarily require a specific skill, you may want to talk in a more global way and a more strategic way. So if you're a project or a program manager specializing in something, focused on, able to, being able to showcase what you do that other people might not do, and especially in a project manager or a program manager job, because that can encompass a lot of different types of departments, levels, skills. So talk about what you do best. This is your value statement. And the higher up you are in an organization, the more it has to be a strategic statement rather than a set of skills. If Walt Disney had a LinkedIn profile, he could have said, self-owner with skills in cartooning and creativity and leadership. And instead, he probably had a LinkedIn profile that would have said, making dreams come true. Being able to talk about what you do to add value, even if it's a high level, creating value for businesses through effective marketing strategies, helping the world become more customer centric. This leads to a lot of skills that are assumed as part of the skill set because of what you've said in your headline. 220 characters, use them wisely. Do not put special characters in the headline. That distorts the search that the LinkedIn recruiter is doing. So it has to be nothing more than commas, slashes, the pipes that you see through here as the way of separating information. Don't give me pretty arrows or stars. The recruiter can't see those, and it takes out all of your headline then. So the other thing you're going to do in titles is to expand the titles that you're using so that you're translating the title that you had from the company to something that the recruiter is going to understand. If it is a similar job and you're just translating to an industry standard, it could be something like this. Career consultant is my title at LHH, but in the industry, career coach is used a little bit more often. So using the pipe indicates that this is a role that could be considered one or the other. It doesn't matter. It's going to show up in a search because it's in the title area. But if you have a title that could mean a lot of different things, particularly project manager or program manager, in parentheses, you can put in the titles that would be associated with the work that you did in that role. So although I was in training and development, my whole team was doing nothing but moving away from classroom training and putting it into e-learning, Zoom, things that are going to be more universal and were generally going to be smaller pieces of information instead of long training sessions. So although I could want a training and development role, I would also be interested in roles as an instructional designer or an e-learning developer. And this is what you're telling the recruiters and what is going to show up in the recruiter search. So it's going to increase the likelihood that you've got an exact match. It explains your role a little bit more, and you're using the titles that LinkedIn has standardized. And it's important for that reason, because recruiters are going to use the LinkedIn standardized titles. LinkedIn has 6,000 of them. Your company is not necessarily using the titles that LinkedIn has. So being able to translate that is going to be an important part. And knowing where to find them is, let's take a look. When you're in your LinkedIn profile, if you are in the open to work, you're able to add some job titles. The only job titles you can add are going to be the ones that are already in LinkedIn. You cannot freeform this area. But if you were a project manager, LinkedIn has many different types of project management roles. Pick the ones that are most appropriate for you. If you had a title that was more along the lines of Chief of Disruption, LinkedIn doesn't have a Chief of Disruption as a title. It's got Project Manager. So changing your titles into something that LinkedIn has is going to be a way for recruiters to be able to find you. LinkedIn is trying more and more to make sure that you and the recruiting teams are using the same words so that you can find each other. So let's go back to presentation. Yep. Now, skills you're also going to want to match what recruiters are looking for and not get too clever. In your About section, you can use whatever skills you want to be able to use because there are a fair number of them. LinkedIn right now is saying that they have, let's see what they're, 36,000 skills. Some of them have got to be absolutely perfect for you. And one of the ways that you can check your skills is to see if what you've got in your profile matches what LinkedIn expects you to have as skills for that job. This is a little bit difficult to read, so let's go back to the LinkedIn profile. And you're going to go into the More button of your profile, and you're going to say you want to build a resume. When you click on Build a Resume, you can either upload your resume that you want to be using, or you can create it from your profile. So let's create it from the profile. And when you do that, LinkedIn is going to be asking, what job title do you want? Once again, you have to have one of these 6,000 titles. And if I decide that I want to change jobs and become a project delivery manager, it's not what I have in my LinkedIn profile, but let's see how close I am. On the right-hand side, LinkedIn is going to give you some insights. And it's saying, if you want to be a project delivery manager, we've got some skills that are already in your profile that we expect to see, but here are some suggested keywords that we would expect a project delivery manager to have that you don't have in your resume, you might want to add that in order to make sure that you can be found by recruiters with a complete set of information. So you can try this on a couple different job titles so that if you're looking for more than one level or more than one type of role, make sure that all of the skills that you have on your profile are the ones that recruiters are probably going to be looking for because they are associated with success in that job. Okay on that one?
Could you just share real quick where you started that again?
Sure. Let's go back and go on to the LinkedIn profile. You're going to go to the More button. And on the More button, you're going to have Build a Resume. And when you go to Build a Resume, here's the one that we just built, but I may want to have a different one for a career coach, a career counselor. Let's apply that one. Now you can see that I've got more of the skills that would be expected through here. And it's got some keywords that I don't have in my profile, but quite often are associated with the career counselor role. So trying a couple different titles based on the type of role you're looking for, maybe a level up, maybe 2 levels up so that you can show growth potential, can be worthwhile to put in here. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The other thing that we need to be taking a closer look at is the skill assessment, because in the skill assessment, LinkedIn is looking for you to prove that you have a skill. And it used to be that the endorsements were supposed to show how strong your skills were in that About section. Recruiters don't look at that anymore, and we're not even sure if that's part of the algorithm of LinkedIn anymore. But the skill assessment does allow you to demonstrate that you are skilled in a particular area. And it's either going to be a technical area, it's going to be a business area, or a design area. It's not going to be a soft skill at this point because there's no test that really decides that. But if you pass one of these tests, LinkedIn is telling us that you are 20% more likely to be hired because recruiters can now search for people who have passed tests for the skills that they think are important for their job. So if a recruiter is looking for a business analyst role and they think that a strong Excel background is going to be important, they can do a search for business analysts who have passed this exam and who are open to work, and they can use some of the other spotlight features too. What's the test look like? It's not that bad. You're going to go into your skills section, and on the upper right-hand side where it's showing all skills, there's going to be a blue box that says demonstrate skills. When you click on that, it will show you all of the tests that are available. And let's say you pick the agile methodologies. It's going to tell you what the topics are. It's going to tell you that there are 15, there could be as many as 20 multiple choice questions. It's a timed test and you only get 1.5 minutes per question in this particular one. And if you score in the top 30%, then you're going to get a badge that says that you have passed the test. Nobody can see what your score is. Not the recruiter, nobody else. It's hard for you to find it also. But notice that you can do a practice test before you take the real one. So if you have a skill, but you think you may have a gap, you can either take some learning classes. YouTube has plenty of them. LinkedIn Learning has plenty of them. Take a practice test also before you start. And once you do take the test, if you pass it, you're just told that you earned a badge, and you'll have this little check mark that's in your skills area next to that skill. And that means that the people who are looking for that as a tool for success in their job are able to see it and are able to search for it. So skills test, hugely important if you've got a technical background that is going to be needed by your next job. Now, one of the best tools for skills is the Career Explorer. And if you haven't found this, it's a separate page of LinkedIn. We're used to being on the page of LinkedIn that has the home, network, jobs, all of that. But LinkedIn has other sites that they have information. And in this case, this is going to be part of the LinkedIn economic graph, and it's going to give research on workforce data, the partnerships, the blogs, when they've been in the news and what they're saying about it. But one of the features in here is going to be the LinkedIn Career Explorer, because that gives you the ability to say, here's a job that I have, and we'll say it's an engineering project manager. Here are the skills that are associated with an engineering project manager role, and they're in the order of importance. So the very bottom one, if you don't have that, quite often it's going to be something that is much more technical in nature and might be associated with only a certain industry. Don't worry about those. But this is a good way of checking the full list of skills that LinkedIn expects you to have. Now, we went through that more button that said build a resume. That gave you some, it gave you the first couple in this list, but this is the full list of skills expected for this role. Now, it goes beyond that too, and it says, how about if you want to move into a new job? Well, if it has a similar score, here are the jobs that could come next. 82% match on skills for an engineering manager. And it tells you which of the skills are in common and which ones are unique. So each one of the jobs here is a different title out of the 6,000 that LinkedIn has. And these are the normal ways that people move from this job to their next job. You can also take a look at, how about if I don't want anything that is an obvious one, something that is going to be a little bit different? Then you're getting out of the engineering and going into simply a program manager or a project manager role. The match rate is not as high for the skills, but it might be something of interest to somebody who's looking for more of a career shift than a career move that would be normal. This is a great way of taking a look at what comes next in a career and what kind of skills are needed for it. I haven't found anything at the higher levels that is an aha moment. Most of the jobs you'll see over on this side are going to be things that you probably thought of on your own. But if you went back and said, I am a food server, and you're working with somebody who is a very low level, most of these skills are key to a lot of other jobs. So if you are a food server, you can move fairly easily into a food runner, a server assistant, a busser, and it'll go up into higher level jobs as you go through this. Or maybe even getting out of the food service altogether and go into something in sales. Because the overlap in skills, about 60% of the skills you need as a salesperson, you've already got because you were a food server. So finding the lower level movement to other careers because of transferable skills is a huge plus. For highly professional people, it's probably not going to be as much of a surprise, but this list over here is invaluable when you're trying to decide what skills to put into your LinkedIn profile.
Ruth, are you showing us, excuse me, Ruth, are you showing us, because all we see is your PowerPoint. I don't know, did you flip over to the food service slide?
You know what? I don't think I did. Let me see.
Your cursor was popping around, but yet all we saw was the PowerPoint. Here we, yeah, we didn't get to see this.
I'm so sorry. Okay, let's start over again. You can have a job out of the 6,000 jobs that LinkedIn has, and it will tell you what the skills are for that particular role. Once again, it's the order of importance. So the highest on this list are the ones that are considered most essential for success in that role. The bottom ones at the bottom might be things that are one-off or only based on what would be needed if you were in a certain industry. It gives you the popularity change so that you can say that if you're a food server, you've got a 58% match to become a salesperson. So moving people out of the lower level jobs into something that might be a little bit higher can be an advantage when you're taking a look at this. If you're taking a look for a job that is a higher level, so finance, vice president of finance, they're the skills needed if you're a vice president of finance. If you eventually want to become the vice president of finance, you may want to start adding these skills into your profile, into your resume, so that you're indicating the growth potential to move into an organization at a higher level.
I did put that link in the chat window, so everybody, you can just copy the link that's right there, save it to your desktop, write it down. Sarah, I see you've got your hand up. You have a question?
I think you just answered it, but just to reiterate, so I just did it and it looks like some of the skills to build that are listed are things that I have strong skills in. So what do I need to do to make my my match percentage increase? Use the words on the left in my profile, is that correct? Or
As many of those that fit, yes.
Do I put it in my skill section or do I add those words into my experience?
You only have room for 50 skills, so you probably want to put some management skills in. If you're in a professional group, you probably want 2/3 to be technical and 1/3 to be personal skills. If you are managing people, you want more and more of the management skills to the point where it might even be 50-50. If you are in the executive level, you want to be pretty heavy on the strategy, the influence, trends that indicate a big picture thinking. So these are all going to be technical skills. Notice that there's nothing, here's a vice president role, but there's nothing here about communication skills, leadership skills, problem solving skills. These are all very hard skills. So yes, use them in the skill section, but use them in the about and in the experience section.
Okay.
The more often you use a word on LinkedIn, the better you are, because as soon as you use a word twice in your profile, LinkedIn feels that you've got a higher level skill, and LinkedIn can count up to 5. So if you want to be able to show that you've got a very strong skill in financial analysis, use it in the about section more than once, your experience section more than once, put it in your skill section.
Thank you very much.
Other questions on this one?
I believe that's it. Thank you. Thank you for, now we see this, now we see the screen, it makes a lot more sense.
You can use the filter over here too, to say, if you want to find a job that is very similar, look at the similarity score, and it will show you that a vice president of finance is very close to a chief financial officer, almost to the point that you need to use them interchangeably. So on LinkedIn, you would show both of those because you've got 95% of the same skills. LinkedIn also allows you to say, do you want to find jobs like this? Or do you want to find people who have this as their title? So it links back into the portion of LinkedIn that we feel is the normal workday portion that we use. But don't forget that the other parts of this page have information about the future of work, what workforce data is out there. Their partnership program has a lot of information through here. They have a blog that talks about the things that they are changing and the research that they've done. But going back into, here are the skills that we expect to see in this job, I think is the best tool that they put out there for skills, because now you're talking the same skills that the recruiter is looking at.
Could you go back to the beginning on that? Because I'm on that page right now and it just shows the tutorial, but it doesn't let me do what you did on the site.
Okay, let's go back to that. So when we are in you can skip ahead so that you can go directly down. It's going to give you a tutorial that talks about how you can move from one job to another based on the skills that you have. But when you go to the skip ahead, it'll take you right down to.
Got
where
it.
can
Thank
put it
you.
down.
I missed that part. I was looking at the tutorial. I'm like, okay.
And the tutorial goes on forever.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Yeah, be sure to copy that link I put in the chat window for everybody. Copy it, write it down, do something, because it's really a great link to use.
Now let's take a look at the spotlight features. We've gone through the headline, we've taken a look at the title and how you can match the exact title. We've taken a look at skills and what the expected skills are, and having a skill test so that you can prove that you are good at that skill. Now let's take a look at the spotlight filters and the features that the recruiters are going to be using. LinkedIn is telling us that there is no shame to being unemployed. Once mergers and acquisitions of large companies started 12 years ago, once the pandemic swept through and caused companies to go down into bare bones, people who have been enormously qualified have been let go from jobs. It's happening, and recruiters know that if you're laid off, it's not because of poor performance, it's because of the change in the environment and the way that the economic activity is. So the open to work, hashtag open to work, LinkedIn is telling us that if you have it in public where you've got the banner, hashtag open to work, around your headshot, you will receive 20 to 50% more emails from recruiters, because that's one of the filters they use. And in fact, it is the most frequently used filter that they use. A recruiter wants to talk to people who are willing to change jobs. They don't want to have to talk to somebody out of a job. They have a limited number of messages and emails that they want to send out for a job. They're looking for people who are open to work. Now, there is a problem with the hashtag open to work in that it gets stale. And after 2 months, LinkedIn assumes that maybe you're not as serious about this, or maybe you've already found a job and you just forgot to turn this off, and they start ignoring you even though you've got the hashtag open to work on. Turn it off, then back on every 2 months so that you've got it reset and that you're able to indicate that you're still looking for work. A lot of people don't like this because they think that there is a whiff of desperation here, or that it indicates that you were laid off for a reason because you're a poor performer. Recruiters don't think that. So please use the hashtag open to work.
Where do you put that?
It's going to be in the area around your profile filter.
Is that green banner?
It's the green banner.
Ruth, what is the difference between the green banner and the other option of open to work that's visible just to recruiters? And I asked that question relative to your first bullet on the slide.
Okay, let's take a look at this.
Great question.
When you're on this open to work, you've got a couple different options. You can put in up to 5 different titles. You can say what type of work you want. If you are looking for something that is hybrid, you need to have some location there. You can talk about if you want full-time or part-time, but at the bottom it says, do you want only recruiters who are in LinkedIn Recruiter software, or do you want all members? When you put in all members, that puts the banner, the green banner, around your headshot, and it means that everybody who lands on your profile can see that you're open to work. If it's for the recruiters only, that means that the only people who know that you're open to work are the recruiters who are using LinkedIn Recruiter software, and that is normally only about half of the recruiters who are looking for talent on LinkedIn. So you are eliminating about half of the recruiters who are out there If you've got more of a quiet search where you only want people who are paying $800 a month for the LinkedIn Recruiter software to be able to find you.
Thank you. That answered my question. You just answered it with half. So half the audience we're eliminating by, okay, thank you.
Well, and you're actually eliminating more than half the audience, because beside the recruiters not knowing you're unemployed or that you're looking for work, you're also reducing all of your other contacts. If you happen to post or share something and they go, oh, let me see what John's doing right now. Oh, I didn't know John's looking for work. You know, we worked really great together years ago. I'm going to reach out to John about a job offer, or, you know, about a possible opening. So, you know, it's the 50% of recruiters who don't pay for it, and all of your connections who won't know you're looking for work.
That's a very good point, Jeff. Thank you.
That's an excellent point, because most of the jobs that we're finding are coming from people who are in your network, who know your reputation, who have worked with you before, who are going to be willing to help you out and champion you. So the hashtag open to work gives an enormous amount of, I'm open, I'm willing, I can do it. Okay. Now, the spotlight feature that's called mutual interest is when you're letting a company know that you would like to work for them. And there are 4 different ways that LinkedIn is allowing you to talk to companies these days. So we'll go back on to LinkedIn. And we're going to search for a company. And let's go to Amazon. Always take one of the drop downs, in this case, finding the company with the right kind of logo. You can follow the company immediately here. Let's go ahead and view the page, because we want to see the full thing. When you follow the page, that tells LinkedIn that you are willing to see more information about the company on your home page of LinkedIn, so that whenever Amazon is posting about something new, an employee engagement activity, jobs that are open, you want to know about it. So the follow button lets Amazon know that you're interested in the company. If you go into the About section, and you have to click this About, it gives you more information, but it also has a new area that says, are you interested in working with us in the future? And you just have to click, I'm interested. And by saying I'm interested, that means that LinkedIn is going to push your profile higher up in the job searches, because you've indicated an interest in the company, and that's part of the mutual engagement that they're looking for. Use this button when there's no job opening for the company, but you're still interested in it. So that's 2 ways so far. You're going to follow the company. You're going to go to the About section and say, I'm interested. The third way is that you're going to go into the Jobs tab here. And at the top of the Jobs tab, it says you can create a job alert. And when you create a job alert, you're going to say that you have a very specific want, and it's got to be one of the titles that this company has posted. So project delivery manager, put in the location, and you create a job alert. Now you are even more precise in the way that you are going to be talking to this company. And LinkedIn is going to help you on this, so that not only is it going to bring you up higher on the job search for this type of role, but when a recruiter posts on LinkedIn that they're looking for a project delivery manager, and LinkedIn sees that you have those skills, it's going to push a list of profiles that match the skills that that company is looking for to the recruiter, and say, here are people who say they want to work for you in this role, have the skills, you may want to start with this list. And you know what? They will. So creating a job alert is the most powerful way of getting the attention of a recruiter. But LinkedIn only allows you to have 20 different job alerts. So you're not going to be able to have one for every company. And having one title is generally better than having multiple titles for a single company. So that's the third way of letting the company know that you're interested in them. One of them was the follow, one of them was an about, one of them was in jobs, the next one's in people. Because when you click on people, they're going to tell you about all the employees that they have. And it's going to allow you to connect with people. And one of the ways that LinkedIn is prioritizing people on that job search is, do you have a company connection? Do you have anybody in that company you're connected to? They assume that that means you know a little bit more about the company, a little bit more about its products, a little bit more about its culture, its financial security, its risks. So connecting to somebody in the company assumes that you know a lot more. And if you're interested in that company, they're all the more interested in you. But how do you search down from this many employees to find the people to connect to? You can often start by using where they live. I just want to look for people in the United States at this point, and I'm down a little bit closer. You've got arrows up here so that you can say, here's what they do. This is their department. Let's open this up to show more. And let's say I want to be in the program and project management area. Still an awful lot of people here in that. So we can keep looking. What they're skilled at and what they studied are coming from their LinkedIn profiles. But you have an opportunity to say, are you connected to anybody who works at Amazon, is in the United States, and is in program and project management? If you click and say, do you have any first degree connections? Yeah, I got one. So now I'm able to send a note to Alex and say, I'm interested in a career change into Amazon. I found a job for a project delivery manager, which I feel I'm qualified for because of my experience in blank, blank, blank. Do you know who the recruiter is, or do you know who the hiring manager is? So being able to talk to the people that you have as first degree connections is going to be important to find a champion within the company, or someone who's going to be able to let you use their name when you're applying for a job. If you don't have anybody who is a first degree connection, let's take off that first degree. Let's see if you have anybody who is a second degree connection. And we got a lot of people who are second degree connections. Finding somebody who has something in common with you is going to be an important part of your connection request. So you can say, I want people who went to University of Texas. And now I'm down to 81. So I'm looking at people who went to the University of Texas, and let's say I'm looking at the University of Texas at Austin. Now I'm down to 8. Now I can sort through and see if there's anybody here who I think would be a good connection because of their title. And I'm going to send them a note saying, we have connections in common on LinkedIn. I'm considering Amazon as a career change, especially in program management. How do you like it there? Let's connect. That's the general way of connecting to somebody who's a second degree. But now that you know that they went to that same school that you did, you can have it start out as, it's nice to see someone who also attended University of Texas at Austin in a company that I admire. I'm considering career changes. Let's connect. You always have to give somebody a reason to connect to you, because otherwise they're just going to assume that that's one more person that is bothering them at the moment. So make it a 300 character connection request. And by the way, as of October 1st, LinkedIn is only allowing you 10 connections that are personalized per month. And that's really going to slow down your ability to do the connecting.
One other thing while you're right there, if you want to scroll back down for a second, is don't ever click on a white connect button. If you see a white connect button, it will send a generic invitation and you will not have an opportunity to send a personalized invitation. So if you want to do that, click on the person's face, go to their profile, and then you'll be able to find either the blue connect button, or if they have it in creator mode, open up more and you'll be able to find the connect button there. But send that personal note.
Excellent, excellent. I should have mentioned that too.
Ruth, what was the date of the cutover again?
October 1st,
So it's already in place,
so it's already in place.
And that's,
unless you have a premium account, right?
Unless you have a premium account, and premium is allowed more, but I haven't seen how many that is.
Okay.
Because
But if
even there used to even be a limit to the number that a free account could have. And they would tell you that you had exceeded the number of connections you could have in 1 month, and it reset at the start of the next month.
and you're saying it's only 10, you can only make 10 can't speak, connection requests a month now?
Personalized requests, yes.
Personalized.
But what's the use of sending a request if you don't think that they're going to be connecting to you?
Wow, so you have to really be careful.
You
Be-
do. One of the ways that is safer to do a connection is we're going back into the United States, and let's say that we're looking for Seattle as the geographic location we're interested in. Go ahead and look for recruiters, because recruiters are most likely in a company to connect with you. They're not as valuable as a person who is in the department that you're going to be working in, who could give you some type of a recommendation. But wow, 5,000 employees there. You might have to narrow it down a little bit more. When you have a title like, in this case, recruiters, LinkedIn is going to give you everybody who is currently a recruiter and everybody who has ever been a recruiter. So you're going to have to sort through the people who are currently in that talent acquisition position versus someone who had that role 20 years ago. But finding the people who are open to work, actually we want the purple one that says hiring. I don't see anybody here at this time. But being a little bit more judicious about who you connect with. This person looks like they might be trying to leave the company. Yikes. Normally you don't have that as open at this point. Okay, we'll worry about her later. So we've got 4 ways that LinkedIn allows you to connect with people. It is taking away the ability to connect by limiting the number of connections that you can make on a personalized note. So be careful how you're sending them out. Normally we would say try and connect to 2 to 3 recruiters with a personalized message. Try to connect with 1 or 2 people who might be hiring managers. Now it's not going to be as easy to do that, because if you've only got 10, it's a little bit tougher. You can always use the 30-day free look that LinkedIn gives you if you have not used that, and see if you can boost up as quickly as possible the number of connections that you have, and then just stop on the payment. Okay, do you know how to turn off job alerts? This is kind of tricky. You're going to go into your settings and privacy, and in your, wow, that was account privacy, account preferences. Okay, there's a way of doing it, I promise you, but it's not obvious right now. So sorry I mentioned that one.
I just did it under my job section. I just cleared out some of my job alerts.
All right, that's only if you've got it in the job alert. If you've got it for a company, that's different. Anyway, it's out there someplace, but you can get rid of that at least. So showing interest, you may not be able to connect as much, but since they've added this interest button and the job alerts, it's going to be a good way to be able to have some connection that is going to bring you up closer to a job search. Now, you need to increase your visibility, because one of the things that LinkedIn is looking for is active talent. And the definition of their active talent for their spotlight filter is that you're active on LinkedIn, which means 2 to 3 times a week, you are hitting the enter button on LinkedIn to do something. So being able to connect with someone, comment on a post, start your own post, share, change something on your LinkedIn profile, that all goes into active on LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn has also all along been keeping score on how many times you respond to a recruiter's outreach to you. This will come over on your message tab, and it's going to be, we have this job available, here it is, it looks like you've got the same skills that we're looking for, are you interested? Even if you're not interested, you need to be able to respond to them, because LinkedIn is using that as one of the ways of indicating your interest in finding a new job. So if you're not interested, tell them, I'm looking more for a role in this industry or this level or utilizing these skills. And sometimes the recruiter comes back and says, yeah, we can help you on that. If you recently updated your LinkedIn profile, very similar to the active on LinkedIn, they're just looking for you to be doing things and being part of it. If you share your resume with the recruiters, as you saw, you could do that as part of your create a resume. You can actually upload it so recruiters can see it. And this way you're using your whole LinkedIn profile and not the somewhat smaller resume, because the resume that you're probably creating for a company is maybe 2 pages long. When you create it from your LinkedIn profile, it could be 3 or 4 or 5 pages long, depending on how much information you have in there. The longer the resume, the better off you are in this case. So create it from your LinkedIn profile, make sure everything is in there, because LinkedIn is going to be looking for specific words. You don't want to leave words out of your resume that you're uploading. And catch this, if you work in an organization that recently had a layoff, there's a filter in LinkedIn that says, I only want to look for people in organizations with layoffs. And that's part of the active talent itself. So if they utilize this as one of their filters, you could be showing up pretty quickly, even if you have not yet updated your profile and become more active on LinkedIn. Being able to be active is going to be the best way of assuring that you're going to be a hire on this list when the recruiters are doing a search. Now let's talk about groups, because we've always decided that groups were a good place that you could connect with people and that you would be in with a group of people who are similar to your occupation. So it was really for professionals that were able to interact with other professionals with the same title. And there are currently 2,310,000 groups that are on LinkedIn, and 94% of them have no activity, no posts, no requests for membership, no comments, nothing. So added to that, LinkedIn has given no new features to groups in the last 4 years. So it looks as if LinkedIn has abandoned groups as a way of utilizing work, but there's still groups out there that are good. Just make sure that if you join a group, that it is an active group and that you're seeing that there is activity in on their page. At the same time that groups were going down, hashtags started coming up. And we think they may be replacing groups as more of an area to share and to network within. Because this is going to be about professional topics. It's not going to be about professions. So you're not going to go out and take a look for a group that is only for project managers. You're going to be looking for, I'm interested in project management. I'm looking for industries, hashtag oil and gas. I'm looking for hashtag Excel. So any topic you want to talk about, regardless of what your title is, allows you to put a hashtag in your profile so that you can see more information about it. No limit to the number of hashtags that can be followed, but when you're using them in a post, 3 to 5 is ideal. Don't go more than 5 because then it just looks as if you've got way too much. And you can also add it to your about section. But the reason you're using it in a post is when you're posting some information on the home page, you're going to be saying, I'm doing some interviewing, I'm kind of stuck on this question, what's the best way to answer it? And when you post it, it's going to go to the people who are in your network. So maybe 500 people, maybe more than that. But if you added in a hashtag interviewing, then it's going to go to 1 million people. And you've got a better chance of finding people who would be willing to provide different types of information back to you. So a hashtag is going to increase your voice when you're on the home page. However, don't use hashtags in your headline or any title because it does distort the search that recruiters are using. So let's go take a look at hashtags because there's a problem with them right now, and we may as well get that over with now. So when we're in LinkedIn and on the home page, the hashtags that I have are things like hashtag management. I've got career DFW too, but when I'm in hashtag management, it means I'm interested in the topic of management, and so are 35 million other people. But everything on this page is associated with a discussion of management, management trends, ways to deal with new management techniques, tools for management. So everything on here is on this topic, which allows you to be able to answer a question in an interview. How have you been increasing your skills during the time that you've been out of a job? I'm following 10 different hashtags that are dealing with topics that are associated with my industry and my type of role. I'm learning a lot of new skills that I wouldn't have seen before. There's nothing else you can talk about as far as classes you've taken, at least talk about hashtags. They have some that are going to be like hashtag future. This is going to be a slightly smaller, well, no, it's 24 million. It's a pretty big group, but it's talking about what is the future going to look like. There's a lot of information out here about artificial intelligence, about how it's being utilized in jobs right now, how it can be used in a job search. So being able to look at the types of things that you're interested in will be able to give you a better feel for what's happening out there. Even something hashtag LinkedIn tips. Only 24,000 people on here, but there's a lot of stuff through here. Most of it's in English though, that talks about things that you might want to be able to look at. So the problem with hashtags is that LinkedIn decided that instead of having it as being LinkedIn tips, all lowercase, they were going to make it as a capital L and a capital T for ease of reading. So they were changing it over to just a different font type. But in doing so, they messed it up completely. And now you can't search for them. They tell us that it's coming back. They're telling us that they want hashtags out there, that they want people to be utilizing hashtags, but right now you can't search for them. But it'll come back. But being able to use them in your profile, in your about section, you can put them down at the bottom to tell people what you are interested in, but you can also put them at the end of a paragraph that summarizes what you talked about. And homepage activities, just keep active. Okay, we're out of time. Any questions? You had some great questions along the way. So pleased.
How do you put the search and hashtags in there? You showed ones that you were following. How do you do that?
I showed the ones I was following. The way that you're going to put them in eventually when LinkedIn fixes this is that you're going to go onto your profile and you're going to be Let me see. Now I lost it. In this search bar at the top, you're going to put in a hashtag. Don't put in a space, but then put in the topic you're interested in. And it will give you choices as to, do you want interviewing? Do you want hashtag interviewing tips? Hashtag interviewing activities? So there are going to be other things that you're going to be able to see on there.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
Sarah, you have a question?
Yes, so my question is going back to the skills. Is it stronger to have a skill more directly connected with the job type you're looking for, or a skill that has been endorsed by other people and, you know, it may not be something directly linking you to the job that you want? Is it better to remove the one that's endorsed and put the one that I want, or should I leave the ones that are endorsed?
Get rid of the ones that you don't need for your next job.
Okay, thank you.
And by the way, did you see the other change of LinkedIn? When you're on your skills, they are only going to show you 2 skills instead of 3. So being able to put in things that are going to be more associated with who you are and what your next role is going to be really important, because otherwise they're going to think you want to use those skills. And especially if they've got a lot of endorsements, people might think that that's something you kept in because you want them. So make sure that your industry knowledge is up to date. If there are tools or technologies that are going to be needed for that role, put those in and take the test if at all possible. And then put the interpersonal skills that you think are going to be appropriate for the type of managerial role that you've got.
Thank you.
Get rid of things you don't need.
Got it.
All right, one last question. Richard's yours.
Yeah, hi, Ruth. I've been told it helps recruiters if they could see that you have active status. And the ways I know to make active status is to program it so that when you update your job profile, it sends a notification, which I don't necessarily want to do. What are the ways to show a recruiter that you have active status?
Actually, that hashtag open to work is going to be the area to look at.
Okay.
But also check on this public profile and URL. When you click on the edit pencil, it'll allow you to see if you have public visibility and that you've got all of these as on. So being able to show everything on your LinkedIn profile is really what you want on the public visibility. But then also when you're on your LinkedIn profile itself, having that hashtag open to work is the active status that we normally consider.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
When a recruiter in LinkedIn recruiting package, if they want to just say those people that are active, they don't get to see what you're active in. It's whatever LinkedIn is using in their algorithm to say you're an active person by liking something, sharing something, posting something. If your profile's up to date, it takes a big formula which they don't share with anybody to tell you what defines you to be active or not active. I guess you're active or less active.
But when they're talking about active talent, these are the things that they're talking about. We don't know how the algorithm balances these out or which ones they think are more important than others, but these are all things that go into being active.
Yeah, I had a recruiter show me their computer, and it's had something that said active, and it was kind of yes or no kind of thing.
This is what goes into that, and this is how they're going to be ordering things through the algorithm on how it's going to bring you up closer to the top of their list.
Okay, thank you.
Activity is huge on LinkedIn. Go out onto your homepage and comment on different posts, and that'll help out.
All right,
Appreciate
well, Ruth, thank you very, very much. If you want to reach out to Ruth, here's what her LinkedIn profile looks like completely already. I mean, you saw it today. You're welcome to reach out to her. Send her that personal note. You got to use one of your 10 personal notes if you got the free version, if you want to connect with her. But always send a personal note whenever you connect with anybody. Ruth, thank you very much for this brand new presentation, first time going through. All right, next week, our speaker will be Kurt Vondermeyer. He's retained search executive at Linked Executive Search. He pays LinkedIn the big bucks for LinkedIn. So he will show us what a search looks like from his end. So if you want to see that, join us next Tuesday at 1 p.m. All right, if everybody please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeff Morris, promise to always send a personal note whenever I send a LinkedIn request to connect with anyone. This includes when I use my cell phone or my computer. We talked about what that white connect button does. It sends a generic invitation. But if you see that, you want to try to find that blue connect button. That way you'll always be able to send that personal note. Career DFW, Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Please join us. Tomorrow, the practice interview team will be meeting in person only. They'll be at Christ United Methodist Church. It's at the corner of Parker and Coit in Plano, Texas, on the southwest corner. Park in the north parking lot. If you can see McDonald's, then you're in the right parking lot. Go in through those doors, follow the signs upstairs, and you'll be able to watch a real practice interview. I know they have at least one lined up at this point. There'll be no online session. Our next online session will not be September 27th. It will be on October 11th. Sorry about that. I thought I caught all my slides today. I missed one here. This Thursday, we'll be talking about effective resumes. It'll be a two-part presentation. We'll share some best practices for an effective resume, formatting, what you need to do, especially for an ATS system. And then the second half of the session, if you'd like to share your current draft resume, you're welcome to do so, but we ask that you remove your header information because it will be on Facebook and Zoom. And then this Friday, let's see here, boy, I messed up a bunch of slides here. This Friday, we're going to do open forum at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, 9:30 Friday morning. The group is meeting in person. Please come join us if you live in the DFW area. We'll answer whatever questions you have about your job search. So it'll be a nice little sort of round robin. Anybody can offer their opinions and suggestions. We will be on Zoom or Facebook Live for those living outside the DFW area. If you'd like to join the Career DFW and Career USA LinkedIn groups, you're welcome to join one or both. I will say that the groups, at least the Career DFW group, is not dead. There's people posting all the time. We've got over 14,900 members. And I would say probably 1 out of 15 of those members are in the recruiting business. They're joining the group because they're trying to find you. So there's some really good stuff going on in the group. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join the Career DFW group, but you're welcome to join one or both. This session has been recorded. You will be able to go back and watch it on the Career DFW Facebook page or the Career USA YouTube channel. I recommend the Career USA YouTube channel because it's really laid out a lot easier to go find something. When you go to it, be sure to click on playlist because every video that I upload goes into one of 7 different playlists. I've currently got over 540 videos on this channel. So find the one you want, LinkedIn in this case, and down where it says view full playlist, click there, and I'll become a list of all the different dates and topics, and you can go find whatever topic it is or whichever title is you'd like to go back and watch. It'll take LinkedIn probably, or take YouTube probably 3 or 4 hours to get this video up, but it will be up later this afternoon. If you're not receiving emails about our workshop and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, you can either scan this QR code or send a blank email to Career USA, the +subscribe@groups.io. You'll never be spammed, but what you will get is the topic of the day, the title of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. That way you can just join us on Zoom when we're going. Please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. All of our speakers are volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over the last 15 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. I don't get paid to do this. I take nothing out of the organization. It's just here to help keep you going. All right. Thank you for joining us today, everybody. Ruth, thank you again for a great presentation. And hopefully we'll see you later in the week.